Hey, what's up guys? Sorry for such a delay going from episode 2 to episode 3 here, but we are here, we are back, and we're going to jump right in it. I'm going to feed right off of Matt's last episode. If you guys didn't see it, he talks about what rods and reels we use offshore for live baiting and for vertical jigging. So in episode 3 of Beginner's Guide to Kayak Fishing, in this episode I'm going to talk about what rigs we use for our live bait and what vertical jigs we use for vertical jigging. First thing I want to go ahead and just talk about with the vertical jigging is pricing. There's 100 companies out there that offer different vertical jigs, different colors, different patterns, different stripes. The most important thing that you need to know is that it is a reaction bite, and colors don't matter, designs don't matter. The shape of the jig does matter depending on what kind of jigging you want to do, which I'll touch base on that in a little bit. But there are some companies out there like this jig right here. I've seen it, from $18 to $22. Do not buy this jig. That is a waste of money. You have a jig just like this, or you have a jig just like this, which is anywhere from $7 to $8. This is more realistic, and this is where you want to be in your price range. The reason being is when you're vertical jigging, you're not using steel wire. Some people have used titanium, but for the most part you're tying your fluoro leader right to the ring on the jig. And we do have lots of king mackerels, lots of wahoo, a lot of toothy critters that will actually bite the jig completely off and you'll lose it. So if you're buying the $20 jig, some trips you'll go through 10 jigs in one trip, and that's $200. I don't know about you, but I don't want to waste $200. Might as well just crumble it up, throw it in the ocean. I'd stick with the $7 jigs. They work great, and like I said before, it's just a reaction bite. So definitely buy the cheaper ones. Just make sure the hooks are up to quality. Now, with all that being said, color doesn't matter with your vertical jig purchase either. Now, some people do have certain colors that they like better than others, and that's just personal preference. In the ocean, as stuff drops within the depth, colors actually disappear. Like I said multiple times already, vertical jigging is just a reaction bite. I know quite a few people who make their own vertical jigs out of butter knives. They make them out of wrenches. Yes, I'm talking Craftsman wrenches. It's just a way that you work them on the way up through the water column, and ultimately being at the right place at the right time, and that thing goes right by a fish, hopefully it hits. Now, there are two different styles of vertical jigging that I'll talk about. The first one is my favorite, and I know it's my business partner's Matt's favorite way to jig, and that's called speed jigging. When you're speed jigging, you want to look for a jig that looks like this. We call them knife jigs. It's long, it's skinny, it drops to the bottom fast, and it's really easy to rip up to the surface. Everything will hit this: tuna, wahoo, grouper, mutton snapper, king. Matt's had a sailfish hit his jig. This produces everything from the bottom all the way through the top, and like I said, you're just ripping and reeling and bouncing that rod as fast as you can. I'm actually going to give you a little demonstration on speed jigging, and this is what we do just because I don't have the patience for flutter jigging, which I'll touch base on in a minute. But go ahead, take a look at this little speed jigging clip that I'm going to put up. What's up? So there's a few ways to vertical jig. The way I like to do it is I go off my left side. I'm right-handed. I put my right knee up like this, put my elbow on my knee so it's leveraged, so I'm not using my shoulder, and then you just bounce it. Reel as fast as you can and bounce it. And you see how my knee and my elbow are touching? Really helps with the leverage so you're not killing your shoulder. This is speed jigging. This is typically what Matt and I do. This is our favorite, targets everything. The other style of jigging that we do is, we don't so much do it, but a lot of people do it here in Florida, and I feel it works great for bottom fish and for tuna. You get other fish hitting it too. Like I said, it's pretty much a reaction bite, right place, right time. I just don't have the patience for it. It's called flutter jigging, and with a flutter jig, you want something that kind of looks like a raindrop or a tear, skinny up top, wider in the bottom, and this thing you just yank up, let it fall down. Yank up, let it fall down. It's good, very, very, very effective on tuna for sure. Like I said, I don't have the patience. When you're jigging out in 300-400 feet of water, I want that jig to hit the bottom and get to the top as fast as possible. If there's something there, great, hopefully it hits. I just don't have the patience to, up, down, up, down. Some of y'all might prefer that way, which is great. Do it. You want to do what makes you comfortable, but I'm going to go ahead and show you what flutter jigging looks like as well. So take a look at this quick clip. You can flutter jig. Flutter jig is a little bit different. I'll show you right now. When you're jigging, you just want to cast out in front of you. Let it go. If you're really deep, don't let the jig hit the bottom. The most important thing is that you start jigging when your line is straight up and down from you. If you let your jig get behind you, it becomes a real pain in the ass to rip that jig through from behind. Really kills your shoulder. But I'm going to show you what flutter jigging is, and then I'll go halfway from flutter jigging to speed jigging. So this is like what you do with the flutter jig. Just pull up, reel down, pull up, reel down, pull up, reel down. That way your jig is just slowly going up and slowly falling down. It's all just a reaction bite. I'm too impatient for that. I like the speed. Get everything jigging. Wahoo, tuna, grouper, mutton, hook the mahi, Matt's hooked the sail. It's just a reaction bite working the entire water column. It's a lot of work though. A lot of people want to come out and jig and they try it. They do it once and that's it, they stop. But it produces fish if you can do it all day. Now, one of the most important things, whether you are flutter jigging or speed jigging, is making sure that you tie your fluoro leader or your mono leader onto the correct ring on the jig. Now the jig has 3 spots where you could tie up top on the hook. It has the solid ring, which is built to the jig, and that should be connected to a split ring, and then the split ring should be connected to a solid ring, and that solid ring is what has your hook off of it. Now, I'm not sure what company it is, but one of them actually tell you to tie to the split ring. This is a major no-no, and we've learned the hard way. We used to tie there too, that's what they told us to do, and we've had the split ring actually split, bend out. We've brought up jigs where the line has been inside the ring, just about to pop out. So no matter what you read on the back of the box, make sure you're tying to the solid ring that goes from your hook to the split ring. It should be this one right here. You always tie to that. Now some jigs do have swivels. I'll pull this one up here. This one right here has a swivel on it, which is nice. I do like it. Not necessary, but again, it still has hook, solid ring, split ring, swivel. And you probably cannot see it, but right here, this split ring is already starting to split. So if you actually had line in there, and with all that action going on underwater, it could pull through. So you want to make sure it is on that solid ring. Vertical jigging, I mean, that's pretty much the basics of it. When we do vertical jig, we use 40 to 50 pound braid, and then we tie on either mono or fluoro leader, it doesn't matter, but we usually do about anywhere from 40 to 60 pound fluoro leader, and you want at least, I always say 5 feet of leader, because you might switch out jigs, you might lose jigs, so it's quicker just to have a little extra to tie on. But realistically, you only need 1 foot to 2 feet of leader if that's all you have. Now that's it for vertical jigging. Very simple. Again, I have those 2 clips there. If you guys have any questions on what vertical jigs we use, what ones we prefer, go ahead and leave a message in the comment below. We'll answer you. But like I said, you don't need to be spending $20 to $25 on a vertical jig. Please don't do it. Even if you have the money to do it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make any difference. It's all about being in the right place at the right time and just making sure that jig has action. Now, on for our live baiting. Matt went over what we use for rods and reels on our live bait rigs. Now, it's all personal preference. On my live bait rig, I like to use 20 pound mono and a conventional reel. On all of our charter rods, though, we use 40 pound braid to 40 pound leader. And the reason we use the braid is there's a less chance of a client over tightening it and breaking off. I've caught quite a few fish on braid. It's great, it's fun. I like a little more stretch with the mono. But at the opposite end of the rod and reel, you have the rig that holds on the bait, and we use what we call stinger rigs. It's this right here. I'm not sure if you guys can see it. I think in Texas they might call them kingfish rigs. But all it is a number 5 or number 6, about 18 to 24 inches of wire from your leader, which is here, all the way down to your first J hook. And then from your J hook, you got 3 to 5 inches of wire, this is the stinger end, to either a treble hook or a J hook. A lot of people like to use J hooks on both ends of these. If a fish does get hooked with the trailer hook, the stinger hook, and it's a J, you can really apply more pressure to pull it up. My personal preference is a stinger. We get a lot of sailfish, and when a treble's swinging around, I feel like you got a better shot at hooking it. But all the knots that we use, I don't even know if you'd call it a knot because it's wire, but we do a haywire twist. Now this is one of the most important things if you're just getting started with tying your own rigs. I'm sure if you're just getting started in the sport, you're probably buying them at Dick's Sporting Goods or Bass Pro Shops or Cabela's. I recommend you do your research and you start making your own rigs. I've purchased plenty of pre-made ones. I think they're awful. They're very poorly made. And go on YouTube. I'll give you a little quick clip here on how we tie ours. But study the haywire twist and make sure you're doing it the right way. In the beginning, everyone ties the haywire twist the incorrect way. You actually want the first wraps to wrap together, and then you do barrel twist up. A lot of people just take the one wire and they twist it around the opposite wire, so both wires really aren't twisted together. I've caught plenty of fish that way. That's how I started out until someone called me out on it and said, "Hey man, what the heck is this? How are you landing these fish?" And I did my research over time, and this is definitely, I've never had any wire failure doing this. So I'm going to go ahead and jump to some clips, show you guys how to tie that haywire twist. Now with the stinger rig you have here, you want to put a live bait hook. You put this right through the gog, blue runner, or pilchard's nose. If the pilchards are big enough, we prefer gogs and blue runners offshore, right through the nose. And then you want to put the treble hook just behind the dorsal fin. Now if you're using two J hooks, you'll take the J hook right in the side of the fish, and you want to put it in and then lean it flat against it. I've seen people do it the incorrect way with the J hooks, where they'll put one through the nose and then they put the J hook like they would a treble right through the back of the dorsal. That is incorrect. You want to definitely hide the J hook in the side so the hook is leaning flat, so it looks like there's nothing there. But again, J hook and treble hook is personal preference. Like I said, I like the treble. Matt loves the J's. We both catch a fair amount of fish either way. Alright guys, so let me show you what I'm talking about here. Now, I was talking about the haywire twist and how you do not want to make the haywire twist. I'm not sure if you guys can see this here. I'm going to take an actual still picture and post it up. But if you can see here, the wire on this one is kind of just twirled around the straight wire. The one end is, excuse me, if you can see here, the one end is just literally twirled around it. What you want it to look like is this end here. I can't get a good focus on there, so I'm going to post a picture, but each wire is twisted together. And then after you twist them together, you do a little barrel wraps. So I'm going to go over real quick on how to make the rigs, what you need, and how easy it is to do. Now, I prefer Gamakatsu hooks. You know, it's all personal preference. The main reason I prefer the Gamakatsu hooks, though, and I love the 4X Strong. I just feel like they hold better. They're stronger hooks. One of the main reasons, though, I like these hooks is because the eyelids on them are always shut. So if you look right here, you can see that this is shut completely. Now, when you're making your stinger rigs and you're using wire, a lot of hooks have a gap here where that wire going to your leader can slip right through that haywire. So this is very, very important. You want to check that out. For trebles, I love the VMCs, either size 2. You can do size 4. These are great hooks. Again, you can see they're the 4X Strongs. I just prefer them. And then for wire, we just use the same old American fishing wire, AFW. I like number 5. A lot of people use number 6. If you know you're going after monster fish, you can up it to 7, but I wouldn't go any more than that. Again, that's personal preference. You want a good little pair of snips. You don't need snips. You can actually work the wire back and forth until it breaks on its own. I personally prefer not to get my fingertips stabbed all the time, so I have some snips there. And then I'll show you the correct way and the incorrect way to tie this out real quick. So you want to let out like 18 inches of wire. I'm gonna do the first one with a little bit of wire because I'm gonna show you guys the incorrect way people do this here, and then I'll show you the correct way. So the incorrect way, you got your wire, you got your hook, and I apologize if this is all weird. It's tough to do while looking through a camera lens. And they go like this. You make your knot, you got it, you twist it, and instead of twisting at the hook up top, they'll twist the wire that's in my index finger. All they do is spin that wire around, and I don't know if you guys can see here. Let me clear this out the way so it's not distracting. And you can see here that all I'm doing is spinning this wire, the tag end that my index finger is pushing out, around this long wire. So it's not really wrapping together, and that's not good. That can pull. You get a big fish on that's pulling a lot of strength here. This can just pull straight down and it'll snap. So that is not what you want to do. The correct way to do it now, I'll go ahead and cut this one free so I don't waste any tackle here. I'm going to cut off about 24 inches of wire. Got that ready to go. Go ahead and put your tag end through. Again, make sure that there is no gap on the eye ring of the hook. Feed about 2-3 inches of wire through. You're going to make a loop. With that loop, with the hook that is in your hand, you want to use your index and thumb to pinch the loop right where the two wires touch. Now you can see my index finger and my thumb finger are kind of pushing the wire in a V. You see I'm moving those fingers right now. Now when you're twisting these, you actually want to twist with your right hand that's holding the hook in the circle and your left one at the same time. Now what this does is actually twist the wires together. I don't know if you can see it here. Again, I'll post a picture up. But they are actually twisting together versus one just twisting over. You want to do this 3-4 times. Once you get it there, then you go ahead, everything's twisted together, and you give yourself some barrel wraps. Barrel wraps are just that tag end wire wrapped 5 times around the top of your twisted wire. I think I did a little more than 5 there, which is okay. So now you can see this is twisted, what it looks like, what it should look like, probably not in focus. Then you get your little snips, get right to the end, boom, that's it. That's your haywire twist. Now you want to do this again, you do one more haywire twist from this hook, and then you do 4 inches and you do haywire twist to the treble hook, and that's your stinger rig right there, ready to rock and roll. So it'll look like this here. See? 2 haywire twists, 4 inches to my haywire twist and the treble. And that's your stinger rig. That's what you want to use when you're trolling live bait out there. Even if you're going for sailfish, unless if you're in a tournament, I highly recommend that you use this rig. We catch plenty of sailfish on this, but there are so many toothy critters in our ocean here in the Atlantic that you definitely want to have wire on there. Hey guys, it's Eric again. Thank you for watching episode 3. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Check out all of our client action-packed videos. You can also visit deepbluekayakfishing.com and book a trip with us.